Assalamualaikum and good morning. Thank you, Associate Prof. Dr. Puan Yatim, for giving us this opportunity to work as a team. My name is Hanisa binti Muhammad Ramli. We are from Group 3. We present our analysis and findings on the case study of Tylenol. First of all, I would like to introduce my team, the presenter outline for each member today. Next slide, Atika. For today's presentation, we divide our presentation into 3 categories. Me, myself, and Fazrin will explain on the introduction part of business ethics in Johnson & Johnson and McNeil Consumer Healthcare. Second part, in the analysis and findings of the problem statements, will be presented first in the issue of failures and product safety. We will be presented by Muhammad Nizam and Ashraf. On the second issue on slow response of product call, we will be presented by Muhammad Shazani and Muhammad Nofazli. And the third issue on the gain, more control and reduce risk will be presented by Muhammad Adha and Jerry Shariza. This presentation today will be concluded by Nur Atika and Muhammad Naim. Okay, for the introductions, basically, this Tylenol case study expresses ethics in the world of business by means that doing business with ethics will help companies to enhance business performance, comply with legal requirements, minimize risk, meet the demands of business stakeholders, and promote personal morality. In the case of Johnson & Johnson, or we call it as J&J, the founder of Tylenol, and McNeil Consumer Healthcare, the subsidiary company under the J&J, are the subject matter of our presentation today. So from the case study of Tylenol, we find that there is a lot of business ethics being practiced by J&J. In fact, we found out that J&J was a pioneer in developing a code of ethics that namely as J&J Credo. The values and ethics had saved J&J from several crises and bad reputations. And with this value, J&J promotes innovations, new products have been developed, new methods of being introduced in the marketing of Tylenol, and the employees are encouraged to give more suggestions. Second example of good business ethics being practiced by J&J is on the corporate social responsibility, or CSR. We find out that J&J have helped a lot of people, and they spend millions of dollars for the societies. Third example is that J&J also take responsibility even though the controversy was not the faults of the companies. And because of all these good business ethics, J&J have become one of the most profitable companies in the healthcare industries and received lots of recognitions. However, based on our findings, as much as we can see a lot of good business ethics being practiced, during the crisis, a few unethical actions made by J&J and McNeil Healthcare. And one of them is the terminations of 8,000 to 110,000 employees while the companies are still making the revenue. And the second unethical action, we found out that in the using of dangerous ingredients in the product of Tylenol and others products. And thirdly is distributing false and misleading advertising to resell the controversial products. This is all list of good in business ethics and unethical business ethics we found out from this case study. Later, my team members will explain based on the case study that we find, the brief explanation about all these findings. Without further ado, I will pass over to the second presenter to explain on the impact of unethical actions of J&J and McNeil Healthcare. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anissa. So for the next slide is effect and impact for this company. As Anissa explained in the previous slide regarding J&J issues, their unethical decision causing their company experience huge loss of profit, which is involving product recalling. They had to recall 51 million bottles of Tylenol capsule and replacing it with safer tablets for free. This caused their company losing 17% of their net profits. Next is J&J also lost the public trust because of these deadly products. The public didn't dare to buy this dangerous product and put their lives at stake, knowing that this product has causing a lot of death and damaging health. The media take these issues as opportunity to gain the public attention by giving negative comments and continue reporting until more information about what causing the death revealed to them and to the public. So for the last is major impact that J&J faced is series of lawsuits from the family members of the victim. There has been ordered to pay compensation because of their unethical conduct and behavior. And one of the earlier victims, which is Antonio Benedi, became the first person to win the lawsuits against J&J after surviving from coma. He received a last-minute transplant, liver transplant to be exact, and 8 units of blood from 8 different donors since that initial case. Hundreds of lawsuits has been filed against their company by the end of June 2019. 233 files have been lodged and 13 of them is still pending in federal MDL. So that's it for my part. So I'm going to pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
So after introduction, we go through the analysis and discussions. So for the analysis and findings, we found that the failure in product safety. So basically, there's no doubt that J&J has a variety of health products for its consumer. Their innovative idea for the counter drug has brought convenience to the consumer until today. However, a number of failure in J&J product safety in a topic to be elaborated. Although the company tried to be accountable, the product still need to be recalled and replaced. So one of the reasons of J&J has been as seen as the failure in the safety product is to focus heavily on profit rather than safety. Even in J&J Credo statement for its consumer, maintain the product. Consumer is keep the cost low to maintain the product and at reasonable prices. Although it sounds good for the consumer, the effect is yet to be discovered until people become sick and die. Product safety means the product is safe to be consumed and consumer are well informed if there's a associated risk occurring when people consuming the product. However, J&J failed to ensure the product is safe to consume and has no prospective sign on the product. Other than that, the other issue is about the safety product is lapses in leadership, which is a lack of oversight from J&J itself. J&J failed to oversee the roots caused when the product were being recalled several times. So means that McNeil Healthcare, a subsidiary of J&J, has been doing unethical business when they buy defective Morton product from store and didn't report to the FDA. As a mother company to McNeil Healthcare, J&J is supposed to play a role in ensuring the product are safe and sound before reaching its to the consumer. J&J also failed to ensure McNeil plants applied a good manufacturing practice. The plant contained thick dust and grime in certain equipment, and there's a hole in the ceiling and duct tape covered pipes. So the other reason will be continue to other presenter, Ashraf.
Thank you, Nizam, for the explanation. And the next failure in product safety about J&J is the first is lack of research and development. If we know that the Tylenol has been recalled because of they have the ingredient that fail in testing requirement. So if the ingredient in this medicine is failed, it show that how the J&J research and development is fail to make the ingredient better and follow the guideline by the safety and quality measurement, and it caused the uncleanness standard. And furthermore, cause of lack of research and development, if we see the case has been happened in 1918, but it also repeated in 2008, and it show how the J&J didn't learn from their lesson that happened in 1918 issues. And the next failure in product safety is about the transparency issue in product labeling. If we know that they have the date cast has been reported because of the overdose taking in the Tylenol product, because of the J&J itself didn't clarify their labeling to the consumer to consume their product, and this is make the consumer didn't know what is the suitable amount to consume the product. And also the judges in the case state that the J&J must to clarify their labeling in each of their product. And this for failure in product safety is our analyst and find out of the why the product safety in J&J is failure. And I hope that answer the analyst, and inshallah we will go to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you, teammate. And then we go to slow response to product recall. Okay, why the product recalls is being slow response? When product recalls happen, it affect four main factors, which such interest or company interest, and then profit maximization focus, lapses in leadership, and also a recall process constraint. So the first one is self-interest or company interest. So when products recall happen, so it will affect to the company's image and reputation, and unhealthy environment or consumers' perception. It is because lack of rational understanding of product recall among their customers, and also lack of cultural atmosphere of tolerance failure among their customers. And also the main factor is the profit driven of the companies. And the second one is profit maximization focus through to their business competitors such as GSK, Pfizer, Bayer, Merck, and also Abbott. So when the product recalls happen, so it will give the impact to the competitors as well as the company itself, and profit loss battle and so on. And then we look into levels in leadership, poor leadership conduct, incompatibility management, losing control power, unethical behavior, or social responsibilities. This happens when we look at the case study, which McNeil Healthcare appoint the private company to buy the defective product in markets instead of recall the product or reporting to FDA. And also the J&J companies hire their employees to buy defective product instead of recall the products. And then also the lack of supports and cooperation. And then next we go to recall process constraint, because we know when the recall products happen, there's a lot of things we need to consider, such as sources, which is 3M, which manpower, money, and machine, and also the cost related, and also the time constraint, location, and accessibilities, and also the laws and rule. Because we know certain country have their certain law and regulation regarding on product recalls. So I pass to my next teammate.
Okay, thank you, Fazli, for the great explanation. Okay, so due to the slow response, Johnson & Johnson, upon recall order, Congressional Committee and FDA has do the investigation regarding that. Okay, so I will show you that what we discover from the investigation. Okay, first thing first, on April 2010, and active drugs and metal fragments may have been found in some of the company's consumer items. The investigation also uncovered unsanitary conditions at the Fort Washington facility, which is thick dust and grime was found covering certain equipment, and also there was also a hole in the ceiling and the tape that tape covering the pipes. Okay, so secondly, others arrived in moldy smelling bottles. Okay, so the sand was found to be a result of the component of pesticides and flame retardants, which is were used to treat wooden storage pellets at McNeil's plant in Las Pedras, Puerto Rico. These are only a few examples of 50 products that were recalled in a matter of 50 weeks. So slow and very small amount. Okay, so some things have been mysteriously vanished from stores with no explanation. Okay, for example, the document that state the McNeil Consumer Healthcare hired private companies to buy defective Motrin products from stores without reporting it to the FDA. Okay, so the last, Johnson & Johnson had been aware of the scent for over a year, but finally recalled the product following an FDA probe. So the investigation also found that J&J had known of the orders for more than a year, but only recalled the products after an FDA investigation. Okay, that's all for me. I'll continue to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm Muhammad Adha. We explain the suggestion to J&J on how to gain more control and reduce risk. We come up with a few suggestions. I will explain 4 of the improvements to be considered, which are, first is to firm up the corporate governance. Making consideration of the corporate governance system in the organizations can help build an effective environment based on trust, transparency, and accountability that are very much required to maintain a long-term investment, financial stability, and business integrity, which further helps in creating a strong relationship with the customer by providing effective services and goods to each of the customers for every age group as well. Second is to improve quality control. Embracing quality control is important to address the issue of risk in product quality and safety of the drug manufacturing. This is to ensure that only products with zero defects are to be produced and reach the markets and are safe for consumers' consumption. And third suggestion is to enhance research and development. Technological advancement helps the company to enhance the capabilities of the R&D to improve the product quality and safety. Besides its main purpose, which is to plan, innovate processes, and implement new protocols in production. Through R&D, the company is expected to invest in the newest technology and explore future capabilities to compete with competitors in the industry. Last but not least is effective communication. In regaining the trust of their customers and stakeholders, communication within the company plays an important part in corporate governance as a tool in carrying out its duty to produce healthcare products. Okay, that's all for me. Next, Jerry will proceed. Thank you.
Okay, another way how Johnson and Johnson can reduce or mitigate risk of quality and safety for their product is to strengthen their existing code of conduct, because they have their own in-house code of conduct. They call it Johnson and Johnson Credo. So this code of conduct had been established since 1943, and also is one of the well-established or first corporate code of conduct in the world during that time. Okay, and then through this code of conduct also, Johnson and Johnson used as a reference for them to manage their crisis during the mass Tylenol recall in 1982. So we take a look this code of conduct. J&J identify four, they call it as a stakeholder for them to focus and to deliver their quality product. The first one is consumers, second one communities, third one employees, and also stakeholder or stockholder. So we take a look for the first stakeholder, how they can strengthen through consumer. Based on Johnson and Johnson goal, they want to offer and they want to keep low cost medication to the consumer. So by doing this, they have to lower their production costs, and also we know that traditionally how to reduce the production cost is through reducing the number of workers, to reconsider the usage of raw material, and maybe some consideration on the way they want to do packaging for their product. So maybe they want to pursue for the cheaper packaging. But of course, through this approach, it will increase the risk of quality and safety for their product. So in a way, to do the best way how to do it is through applying the technology and also innovation, and also constantly doing R&D for their production. Like my colleagues mentioned just now, constantly doing R&D and also enhance the capability of the R&D. So that's the best way how to give how to maintain the low production cost, and also can give cheaper or lower price for medication to the consumer. And the second point for consumer is J&J committed to give more access for medication for consumer, but
with this approach, in there has been issue in 2009 when the acetaminophen overdose happened because of lack of awareness by consumer, meaning they have lack awareness on how many dose that they have to consume. So that's why J&J have to they can gain the access for medication, but with the risk control, and they have to increase or aggressively um, uh, do the awareness campaign on the risk of the selected medicine. And also they have, one of the way is they have to how they can control the risk of overdose is through access medication should be only with prescription by doctors, especially for certain group such as at-risk group. And with this, it can ensure that not only J&J can give quality and safety product, but ensure that the consumption of the medication also is properly being consumed by the consumer. Okay, for the second factor is for the communities. J&J have to increase more campaign through community awareness program for them to improve the public health, and also to show that their commitment on safety and quality, because they know that if anything happen, if any issue happens, so at least the consumer, at least the communities can realize that actually it's not fault by the company, but and also they know that company will commit and ensure that they will solve the problem if any issue happen. Okay, and the third one for employees, company have to ensure that the welfare and well-being of the employees is always a top priority, as a human capital is the company most valuable asset. And this ensuring the welfare and well-being, and also to ensure that the safe working environment to workers, because since pharmaceutical industry dealing with hazardous material and hazardous environment, why it's very important, because uh, employee satisfaction is important because it can avoid dissatisfaction and frustration, which can lead to the element of sabotage and misconduct or misuse by employees towards company product. And for the last one is for the stakeholder or stockholder. So J&J need to give full commitment on mitigating risk of disaster by consistent communication, meaning transparently communicate with their stakeholder or stockholder on especially on the future, on the risk assessment or risk analysis, and because their stakeholder can advise them the right way how to mitigate the risk to avoid any issue in the near future. And lastly is as a business entity, J&J have to balance between the business goal and also their obligation towards communities and also consumer. Of course, for the stakeholder, they want company to optimize the existing resources and maximizing the profit. But quality and safety of the product, they have to put as a priority to ensure that the improvement of public health to their community. Thank you.
For the conclusion and recommendation, firstly, we have to praise J&J because they made good efforts and moves in handling the crisis, such as stated before. They recall and they made a replacement for the product. Also, they distribute the coupon to gain customers' trust back. So next, J&J also use open communication with public to show that there has nothing to hide during the crisis. Despite all these moves and efforts, of course, they need to improve and fix in some areas. So first areas that they need to improve is supply chain management. J&J need to take extra precaution with their supply chain management since their production is involved with drugs and chemical substances. They need to ensure that their raw materials and equipments are being placed in sanitary facilities with high quality surrounding and safety, because this will affect their final products and the safety of consumer later on. So thus the J&J need to label all their products with accurate information to prevent confusion from the consumer sides in the future. So I will pass to last presenter, Naim.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Atika. Okay, next, ethical in decision making. To ensure the decision is ethical, all the decision must take into account all stakeholders. The research found that many business professionals believe that ethics are unimportant in business. They further believe that the only obligation they have to their business is to maximize profits. Making profit is not an ethical behavior, and it is also not an unethical behavior. For instance, it can be ethical when J&J not put consumers' health behind when making profits and vice versa. The decision maker should act in a way that will create the greatest amount of good and the least amount of harm to the greatest number of people. Last one is sustainability. It refers to produce the products without negatively impacting the environment, community, or society as a whole. According to J&J website, their sustainability approach is generating social, environmental, and economic value for all of the J&J Credo stakeholders. Beside that, Johnson & Johnson also contributes to the 11 United Nations SDGs. However, the Tylenol, the Tylenol crisis shows us that although the companies have their own sustainability approach and contribution in SDGs, they are not missed from violating the ethics. Thus, sustainability and ethics must be implemented together. For instance, when there is a violation in the concept of sustainability, such as in this Tylenol crisis, it is ethical for the companies or J&J to respond immediately to the issue. Late responses bring a lot of negative consequences as previously presented. Last but not least, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Okay, that's all our presentation about Thailand case. Assalamualaikum, goodbye and thank you.